a lot of concepts which were focused on DSA, and we are going to again focus on DSA in today's session as well. So we can see that 56 of us are here in this course, and we are doing great job here. And I can see the assessments, the last assessment that we did yesterday. So Khushi Garg is topping the leaderboard. Congratulations, keep it up. And all of you are there in the leaderboard. So let's move on to our next section. Yes, so this is the section we will be covering in today's video. Here we can see our first topic is about missing numbers in 1 to n. So this is a very commonly asked question that comes in interviews about missing numbers. So you're given an array where there are numbers between 1 and n. All the numbers are there, just one number is missing. And we need to write a code to find out which number is missing. So there are multiple ways where we can solve this sum. So we can see that this notes provides us a formula. It is giving us a tip to understand that how we can find this. So currently what happens, we all know that if you want to find the sum of 1 till n, we have a formula. That is n plus 1 divided by 2. So it says that you can use this formula and then use what is given in the array, and using both of them we can get to know the missing element. But there is another important concept that can be used to solve this problem. So let's dive in and we'll check all of these one by one. Okay, so what are we going to look at? We are looking at a problem statement which says that there are numbers between 1 to n and some number is missing. So let's take an example. Suppose we are given an ARR array, and let's say in this array we have 1, 3, 4, 2 and 6. So if this is the array that we are given with, we have to find out that which is the missing element. So if we count by ourselves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the element that is missing is number 5. So now how do we find out that 5 is missing? So what is the concept? One concept which we can use, it says that we can take out two sums. So one is the array sum. We can take out the array sum. So how can we take out the array sum? We can loop through this entire array a single time, and we can keep adding all the elements into this array sum. So initially array sum will be 0 and you will keep adding. So when you get 1, you will add it to it. When you get 3, you will add it. So it becomes 4. Then when you get 4, it becomes 4 plus 4, 8. When 2 comes, it becomes 8 plus 2. That is 10, and 10 plus 6 becomes 16. So your array sum, you will get it as 16 towards the end of your calculation. Now we want to know the actual sum. So in order to know the actual sum, you can run a for loop. You can run a for loop from 1 till n, and you can again accumulate the sum. So you can do an actual sum of 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6. You can do that. And apart from that, if you want to use the formula, you can use the formula. That is n plus 1 divided by 2. So now what will happen in the actual sum? What sum will we get? 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 4 is 10, 10 plus 5 is 15, and 15 plus 6 is 21. So in this case, we will get the answer as 21. So in order to find the missing number, what we have to do? We have to do the actual sum minus the ARR sum. So the actual sum is 21 minus ARR sum is 16. So if you do 21 minus 16, you get an answer 5, and that is our missing element. So now let's go and check the code for this. So this is the code that I have written. It's a very simple code. Here we have an array which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 7. So the missing element is number 6, and we are calculating the size of the array, and we are calling the missing number function. When we go to the missing number function, as I told you, there will be two sums. One is the array sum and one is the actual sum. So how will we calculate the array sum? We will traverse the entire array using a for loop, and we will keep adding the element. We'll keep adding the element into the array sum. And how do we calculate the actual sum? We calculate using the formula n plus 1 divided by 2. Here, why am I taking n as n plus 1? Is because if you see this array, it has 6 elements. But we want to find a missing element also. So it has 6 elements, but the total elements with including the missing element is 7. That is why we have done n plus 1 to accommodate the missing element. And then you just have to return the actual sum minus the array sum. So let's run this and check. So we are getting the missing number as 7. Sorry, we are getting the missing number as 6. If we add 6, now the missing number should be 5. Yes, so we are getting the missing number as 5. Now there are a lot of times when the interviewer will ask you to see if you can solve this in some other way. So there is one more way which you can use. So what is that? That is an XOR operation. How can you use the XOR operation? I will tell you. But currently the formula that we used to solve this particular problem, where we used a for loop, the time complexity was O of n. Now if we want to use the XOR operation, how it works? XOR is very similar to the AND operator. We are all aware of the AND operator, OR operator. So what happens in the AND operator? If we do 1 and 1, so we get 1. And if we do 1 and 0, then we get it as 0. But in case you were doing this with OR, 1 or 0, this gives you 1. So like these have their own properties. Similarly, XOR has its own properties. So the first property of XOR that we need to keep in mind is that XOR is commutative. So what do we mean by commutative? Commutative means that if we, so the symbol of XOR is this. So let's say if I have A XOR B, this will be equal to B XOR A. That means the order does not matter. Suppose you do XOR of a number with 0. Okay, you do an XOR of a number with 0, then you get the number itself. If you do XOR of a number with itself, so if you do A XOR A, then you get A itself. So these are few properties that you should be aware of. Now, how do we use this XOR concept and find out the missing element? So keep all of these in mind. We will just go to the array. So let's say I have an array which has 1, 3 and 4, right? So here the missing element is 2. So how do we find out? We can do a simple XOR operation. So what are we going to do first? First we are going to find the XOR of the given array. So if you do XOR of the given array, you will get 1 XOR 3 XOR 4. Okay, then you will do an XOR of the actual elements, right? So here we have 3 elements. So that means we have to go from 1 till 3 plus 1, that is from 1 till 4. So now you're going to do an XOR of 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now once you get the XOR of the array and XOR of the n natural numbers, I want you to do the XOR of these two. So when you do the XOR of these two, what happens? That means I have 1, I have XOR it with 3, XOR it with 4, XOR it with 1 again from the second XOR, right? With 2, with 3 and with 4. Now as I told you that XOR operations are commutative, so you can reshuffle them. And XOR of a number with itself gives us 0. So if we see 1, we have a 1 here. So you can match these two. And what will you get? You will get a 0. Then you have 3, we have another 3. Now when I map this 3 and 3, this also gives me 0. Now I have 4, if I map this 4 with this 4, I get a 0 here. Now I'm left with 2, it does not have anything. So 1 XOR 1 will give me 0, 3 XOR 3 will give me 0, 4 XOR 4 will give me 0. So 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus you have an XOR of 2. Now when we do an XOR of 0, it becomes 0 XOR 2. And XOR of a number with 0 is the number itself. And that is how we will land up with the answer as 2. So you get your missing element. This is one very good pattern. If you can explain in this way like I explained you, the interviewer will know that you know how to solve this. So this is very easy. Let's go ahead and we'll code it out. So here, let us make changes here. So what happens? You have an array sum. So instead of array sum, I will take an array XOR. And instead of actual sum, I'm going to take actual XOR. So what will I do? I will run through the entire loop and I'm going to write the array XOR will be equal to whatever is in the array XOR, and you XOR it with the current element. And how do you find the actual sum? So to find the actual sum, we need to run another loop here. So this loop will go from I is equals to 1 till I is less than equal to ni plus plus. And this will be actually the actual XOR. So actual XOR will be actual XOR into the XOR. So whatever is there in actual XOR, XOR of the current element. And what are you going to return? You're going to return the array XOR and you're going to XOR it with the actual XOR. Right? That is what we did here. First we calculated XOR 1, that is our array XOR. Then we calculated XOR 2, that is our XOR of 1 till n. And then we did an XOR of both of them. So here, what are we doing? We are doing an XOR, array XOR, and we are XORing it with the actual XOR. And this should give us our answer. So let's save it and let's try it out. Okay, so the missing number is this. That means this is not working out. Somewhere we must have gone wrong. Okay, so what is happening here? Since I copied this for loop, right? This is Actual XOR is actual XOR, and this is not ARR of I, right? We are not dealing with ARR. We are not dealing with the array here. We have already dealt it in the first for loop. So here we just need to do the XOR with I, whatever is coming in I. Now let me run and check it. Yes, so the missing number is, this says that the missing number is 2, which is again incorrect. So we are getting the missing number is 2. And again I can see there's a slight issue here, that since we have I is equals to 1, we have to go till n plus 1. We discussed in the last sum also, because we have to consider the missing element also here. Now let me clear and let me run it. So we're getting the missing number as 5. Let's say I add a 5 in place of 4. So now my missing element becomes 4. So here we have the missing element as 4. Let me add 4 here. So my missing element should be 3, and we have the missing element as 3. So this is how you can use these two methods, and you can solve this problem of a missing number between 1 till n. So this was the series where I wanted to discuss with all of you about how you can solve this problem. So I will also share the quiz with you, which is related to this section. You can take the quiz, and we will come back the next day and we will solve questions on bubble sort, insertion sort, and bit by bit we will keep learning. If you're liking my videos, you can subscribe the channel so that you can always get the latest updates, and you can also hit a like if you like the video. Thank you everyone, and I'll see you in the next session.